Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Kube with Sister Shemiza.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. It is 10 o'clock, 5th of May, and you are listening to Inspire FM 105.1 FM. I'm Shemiza, and it's an absolute pleasure to be in your company today on Bank Holiday Monday. I hope you are well, warm, and winning wherever you're listening in from. It's a little bit of a chilly one. Where's the sun gone, people? It's a little bit cold, so wrap up warm. I do not understand this weather, but hopefully, inshallah, it will get a little bit warmer throughout the day. Now, we are going out to the wonderful people, Luton surrounding areas, and Peterborough Salam Radio and Sheffield's Link FM. I hope the start of I hope you've had a great weekend, guys. It is a long weekend. And what are you getting up to on Bank Holiday Monday? Maybe you're actually getting up to some DIY. Did you know that across Bank Holiday Mondays, the queues for DIY stores are often longer on these extra holidays, but sadly it seems so are the queues for A&E, as hospitals see a marked rise in DIY and gardening injuries on Bank Holiday. I would just like to advise everybody, be safe, be well, wherever you are. I know it's tempting, but to do things when you've got some time off, but try and get, make sure you do stuff properly. Okay, folks. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to be in your company. I am Shemiza, taking you all the way up to 11 o'clock on the Urban Kube Show. Now, the Urban Kube Show is a show that celebrates arts and lifestyle, and with creative conversations with trailblazing Muslims. And on today's show, I have a bank holiday bonanza, not one, but two guests. Yes, I'm joined by two extraordinary women, mashallah, who are doing phenomenal things and trailblazing in their fields. And today's topic is amplifying women's voices and fostering inclusivity. This morning, on the first part of the show, I'm joined by no other than Neelam Aslam. She's a Pakistani broadcast journalist. And on the second part of the show, I'm joined by Firoza Abdool-Sathar. She is a director of CYCD, which is a Centre for Youth and Community Development, and she's a community leader. She'll be joining me on the second half of the show. If you are listening in from Facebook or the website or over the radio and you fancy throwing over a question to the show, feel free to do so on 07779481822. And without further ado, I would like to introduce my esteemed guest this morning. She is actually at work, and yet she's giving me the time this morning on Bank Holiday Monday, which I really appreciate. Now, I'm joined by no other than Neelam Aslam. She's an acclaimed Pakistani TV presenter and news anchor, rising to fame as the voice of Sama News. Neelam worked for almost every major Pakistani news channel, drawing universal acclaim. Her fearless approach and enthusiastic delivery helped her gain a reputation as a news journalist with the highest integrity. She currently lives in the UK with her husband and presents Good Evening London and various other shows on Islam Channel Urdu. Wow. I'm really excited to be speaking to no other than Pakistani broadcast journalist Neelam Aslam this morning. Assalamu alaikum, Neelam.
Wa alaikum assalam. Good morning. How are you?
I'm so very well. You can tell I sound a little bit nervous because I have got a professional speaking to me this morning. How are you, my dear?
I'm good. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, Neelam. Neelam, I can see that you're at work this morning. The camera angle is slightly, and we're going to sort that out because we need to sort the camera angle out. So folks, if you're listening into the show, Neelam is visible on the Facebook page. Mashallah. Neelam, you're at work this morning, but on a bank holiday in England, what do you generally do?
Actually, I like to sleep more. And then I like to make myself my desi breakfast, paratha, and sometimes I go and find halwa puris in some restaurant in Ilford. Yeah, that's how I like to enjoy my bank holidays or weekends in London.
Oh my goodness. Do you know what? That sounds absolutely perfect. You're speaking my language. Do you know, you're making me really hungry. Neelam, thank you so very much for joining me this morning. Now, where is work right now? Because you're in the studio, aren't you?
Actually, I do this evening show. So in morning, I have to call and arrange guests, do research, watch a lot of bad news and bad events happening around the world, monitor TV channels, write stories, and this is how I pass my day. And then I deliver the evening show. Good evening, London, on Islam Channel Urdu.
Wow, very, very busy. So it's a job that requires a lot of your time and a lot of your attention. How did this journey actually begin, Neelam? Where was this desire to be a broadcast journalist?
Actually, as a Pakistani woman, there is always this desire to bring change and to become a voice for thousands and millions of women who can't speak, who are not allowed to speak, who are not allowed to get education. And I felt I was in a position to become a voice for them. So definitely it has something to do with that too. But also because my father used to follow news when I was a child, I have only seen my father watching news all the time. So that inspired me to become a news presenter because I thought, okay, this is something my father likes, my parents like, and I also developed some kind of eye or like ear for news. So I think this is how this journey began.
That's amazing that your father inspired you, and that's so refreshing to hear, mashallah. And I'm sure he's super proud of you.
Yeah, he is very proud. My parents are very proud, and I am proud of them because sometimes we forget to give them enough credit because in a Pakistani society where women are not given enough opportunities or like equal opportunities, but my parents never treated me any less. They always treated me like a queen of their house. So, yeah, I want to give them all the credit. I am
Mashallah.
proud of them.
Shazadi to aap hain. That you are a princess. Definitely on, you bring so much delivery, enthusiasm and passion in your journalism. Now, I wanted to ask you, in this field, are there enough female journalists in Pakistan for young women to aspire to, or are you leading the way?
You may be surprised to know many women are coming in this field now, and they are like, if I compare men and women, more women are in newsrooms. I can see more women in newsrooms, more women in field. So women are make 50% of Pakistan's population. So they have to be everywhere. And
Mm.
journalism is the only way they can come, they can appear, they can break barriers, and they can bring change. So I'm very glad to tell you that many Pakistani women are in journalism right now.
I remember growing up, and I spent some time in Pakistan and the PTV news, and there was a very well-known news broadcaster, and I can't recall her name, but I would look at her and I would be in such admiration, and the way they just presented was so inspiring. And I think I've been drawn to journalism by looking at the Pakistani female journalists. But I want to ask you, are there any barriers that you've experienced in the field as a woman?
I think there are some still some cultural and political barriers because you people don't expect women to be very loud, very
Mm,
blunt, very brave, and they want to see you like innocent girls who just doesn't say anything, who doesn't know any right, doesn't know where to go, doesn't know what to say. So, but it is changing now, but there are still few cultural and political barriers. Why I'm saying political barriers? Because um, I don't know if you have observed even the subcontinent journalism, where women are given soft beats like lifestyle. You can cover
mm.
entertainment, you can cover like sports, but definitely not cricket because they think cricket is a man's sport. Still, they think like that. So there are some political barriers because you can't cover political stories, because if you have to if a channel has to send someone to interview a political figure or a politician, they would prefer sending a male presenter. It is changing right now, but there are still some political and cultural barriers for women in Pakistan.
This brings me on to the next question regarding barriers. And how easy is it to be a journalist and have freedom of speech in Pakistan, especially as a woman?
I think it is not gender based now, because freedom of expression is a thing which has become very rare, not in Pakistan, but all over the world. If you have seen the coverage of Palestine issue in last 2 years, I can't say that Pakistan journalists are facing this issue. It is a worldwide issue now, but in regard to Pakistan, I would say Pakistani journalists were like fierce. They were covering stories. They were covering sensitive issues. There are some limitations. There are some boundaries. Like when it comes to religion, definitely Pakistan is an Islamic state, so there are certain limitations, sensitivities, so they don't like cover those stories where a minority is being targeted, which I would honestly tell you that it is not something happens every day. There are some isolated events, but there are certain sensitivities, and then freedom of expression is not being practiced there. And also, like with establishing Pakistan Army's role, everybody knows about it. So there are certain limitations over there as well. But as a whole, I would say freedom of expression is being practiced by everyone. And being a woman, I would say it is not a problem that you are a woman, you can't express, but a male presenter can express. There's no such thing in Pakistan right now.
Folks, if you are listening into the show, I am joined by no other than Pakistani Broadcast Journalist Neelam Aslam. And today's topic is amplifying women's voices and fostering inclusivity. The time is 12 minutes past 10, and it's 5th of May. And today we've got a bank holiday bonanza, as I'm joined by not one, by two amazing women who are trailblazing in their field. Now, Neelam is my guest. She's with me all the way up till 10:25. If you've got any questions regarding broadcast journalism, journalism in Pakistan and the UK, please feel free to contact us on 07779 481 Neelam, absolute pleasure having you joining me this morning. But before we move on to the next question, I just have a bit of a technical question to throw at you. The camera angle, if you might be able to change it, because we can't change it from our side,
Okay.
because you're actually, I don't know, you're not positioned straight. So if you could just like turn the camera around, that would be great.
Maybe
Excellent. That's wonderful. Thank you so very much. That's perfect. Thank you so much for doing that for us. That brings me to the following question. When there's a glitch, or when you're doing a breaking story and you get distracted by something, how do you maintain professionalism? How do you do that? That's an art in itself, right?
I think when it comes to stories about women, when there is some bad incident happen with a woman, it also affects me. Whenever I read a breaking news about women being abused, or cases of domestic violence or rape, so these are the kind of stories which I had to deal, and I have to deal on daily basis. It becomes difficult sometimes to become a professional and not blame the person, although it is like advice, and it is my professional responsibility to not say anything in emotions when the person who's the culprit, like if he is just the culprit and police investigation has yet to be done, so you can't say anything harsh to that man. But in as a woman who is watching this incident, there's incident about girl being killed in Islamabad by her friend. So I was very furious at that time because that was a cold blooded murder. I wanted to say a lot of things, but because you are presenting the news and you have to be professional, so I couldn't say much. So I think emotions come and go, but I know it. For a fact that I handle them greatly now on television.
And gracefully, and this is what you're noted for. It's your style of news broadcasting, mashallah, which has not just impacted Pakistan. Now you're actually on the screens in the UK as well. What's the difference between like being a broadcast journalist in Pakistan and being a broadcast journalist on the news in England?
In Pakistan, we say there is no dull day. A lot of events happening, a lot of breaking news. So there's no dull day. The pace is very fast. But here in London, we work on a very slow pace. So that sometimes gets boring because I'm trained in an environment where a news is coming, a breaking news is coming, and you have to deliver in seconds. And there's this big news and this political happening. And then unfortunately, there's this bomb blast thing because Pakistan was facing terrorism for quite some time. When I started in 2012, that was the worst times for being a news presenter because you had to give news of bomb blast and terrorism every other day. That is difference. That is a good difference, I can say. But sometimes I feel the magic, the vibrancy, and the energy of that newsroom in Pakistan here.
Do you write your own broadcast pieces, or does somebody else write them for you? And do you ever get in a position where, if you don't agree with that feature, can you make a change?
Let's start from Pakistan. In Pakistan, it depends on the channel's policy. Like in different channels, I had the freedom to speak my mind. I had the freedom to change certain policies or certain editorial policies if I disagreed with them. But here in Islam channel, because I am the captain of the ship, I am the producer and the coordinator and the researcher and the host of that show. So it gives me a lot of freedom to change news, to give news accordingly. But I can say it depends on the channel you're working because I didn't work in different channels for like more than a year. So that was the problem because whenever I feel I can't make any changes to the script, or I cannot write a different script, or I cannot suggest any different things in the policy. That was the point I decided to change or switch channels because I wanted that freedom.
Of course. And that's the reason why you entered this field, to make that change, to make that difference, inshallah. What has been the most inspiring news story for you that you've been able to break?
I think journalism is not only about reporting; it is about impact. And whenever I felt that my story made an impact and it helped people, it changed their lives, it has given them voice. I always feel that I have done something good, and that is the inspiration for be in this profession, because it's not easy job to be in this profession in this time and age, where you have to face online trolling, harassment, people give comments like, okay, you are doing this because you are Pakistani, so you have to face all this. But still, if you decide to stay in this field, because of this inspiration, that that somehow, somewhere, you are making that positive change in someone's life. Because I'll give you an example uh, about Palestine. It gives me a lot of peace whenever I speak for them. We can't do anything for them, But minimum we could do is to express our feelings, is to express whatever is happening there. So that gives me some sort of peace. It is just one example. Talk about other issues like development issues, public issues, social issues. Whenever you tell people that this is a problem in this locality, and then government takes interest and go and change things for better for the people living there. So these are the kind of inspirations which is the reason I am in this field.
Mashallah, making a great impact, not just in the UK, but also Pakistan. I wanted to ask you, what view of the world do you want people to see Pakistan?
I think I really want to change the world's view on Pakistan, because Pakistan is not just a country of conflict. Yes, I agree. Pakistan has a lot of challenges, but beyond headlines, Pakistan is a country of beauty of landscapes. Pakistan should be known as for the strength of its people, resilience of its people, especially women. There are many brave women coming out of Pakistan, and Malala Yousafzai is one of them, and she's residing in England. She is from Pakistan, and there are other courageous women. There are other courageous men as well. So I want to see the world, Pakistan, from that lens, not from the lens of conflict. Okay, this place, terrorism, and other things. Pakistan is much more than that. I don't know. Pakistan should be known for its beauty, like Hunza, Islamabad, one of the most beautiful capital in the world. Lahore, I want to know world from Lahore, a cultural city, historical city. Karachi, the economic hub. People, the beauty of the heart of the Pakistani people. I want to know. I want to see. Want the world to see this side of Pakistan as well.
Inshallah. And it slowly is. We've seen a lot of Westerners now visiting places like Hunza and celebrating Lahore and celebrating the beauty and culture and the hospitality of the Pakistanis is just, on the next level, mashallah. Who would you like to interview, Neelam? If there was somebody that you'd like to interview, who would that be that you've not interviewed yet?
I think you may be surprised to hear this. I would like to interview Shah Rukh Khan, the Bollywood actor. Although you would think she gives a lot of political news and current affairs, but I would like to interview Shah Rukh Khan, because he speaks so much sense every time I've seen his interviews. Like, he's very eloquent. He never speaks negatively about anyone. So I want to understand his personality more.
You never know, he might be listening in to Inspire Family Urban Kube show. If he is, get in touch with Neelam Aslam. I want to ask you my final question, because we are heading to the break now. Any tips and advice for women entering this profession? Because the topic of today's show is amplifying women's voices and fostering inclusivity.
I think perseverance is the key to stay in this field, and a strong desire to bring change, a strong desire to fight the barriers, the battles which can stop you from coming in this field. It's not easy, it's not straightforward, because now everybody has that camera and microphone, and every other person you meet in the street is a journalist or a social media expert or an influencer. You have to be a different person. You can't come in this field just for money. Money is one part, but you have to have that strong desire to do something good and greater for humanity. If you have that spark, if you have that vision inside you, I think you are going to make a difference.
Now, how can people follow you? Do you have any social media handles that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, they can follow me on Instagram, Neelam Aslam Official, and I have a YouTube channel as well. by the name of Neelam Aslam. So they can follow me there. They can leave comments. They can leave questions there if they want to ask me anything.
And what are the plans for the future, Neelam?
I think my future plans are very clear. Since the day I was born, I wanted to become a voice. You would say I'm saying this again and again, but that was I was a different child. I was a different girl. I never dreamt of wedding or other stuff. I always wanted to do something for my country, for my people, for humanity, for the world, something good, something positive, which they can remember me after I
And they
die.
and they sure are. Thank you so very much, Neelam, for joining us this morning. It's been an absolute pleasure to be in your company.
Same. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you so
You're
much for connecting me to your audiences.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Neelam. That was the wonderful Neelam Aslam, Pakistani Broadcast Journalist. We are now heading to a break. Don't go away, folks. Join me straight after this break. Assalamu alaikum.
This program will continue after the break. Continue listening to Inspire FM. Inspire FM.
Inspire 105.1 FM.
Summer heat got you feeling hot under the collar? Here's how to stay cool. First, hydrate. Water's your best friend in the sun, so drink often. Dress light with breathable fabrics, and don't forget your hat and sunglasses to protect yourself. Stuck at home? Close the blinds and keep the fans running, and cool off with a damp cloth. Beat the heat with smart choices. Stay cool and keep your summer fun.
AK Windows South Limited, manufacturers and installers of high-quality UPVC windows and doors, bifold doors, composite doors, conservatories, porches, skypods, fascias, guttering, and much, much more. We specialize in double glazing and triple glazing using the best German profile. If you want quality at affordable prices, AK Windows is the place to go. If your house needs a facelift, you know who to trust. For a free quote, call AK Windows today on 01582 483 777 or visit us at Unit 10E, Britannia Estate, Leagrave Road, Luton.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillah. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله لا ينظر إلى صوركم وأموالكم ولكن ينظر إلى قلوبكم وأعمالكم. That Allah does not look towards your appearance and your wealth, but rather He looks towards your heart and your actions.
How many times have you needed urgent medical supplies but don't know where to go? At Harris Pharmacy, we take pride in delivering a high-level healthcare to our community. This is why we have services such as private one-to-one consultation, free prescription ordering from GP and delivery to your home, mobility aids such as providing wheelchairs and many other items for everyday use. Call us today on free phone 0800 458 850 to discuss your medical needs. We are open from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. Monday to Friday and 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Harris Pharmacy, 165 A/B, Dunstable Road, Luton.
If you're 9 to 16 years old, this exciting news is for you. CYCD have a summer holiday scheme. Free, fun. We're talking sports, arts, gaming, trips, and more. That's bigger and better. If you're on free school meals, it's free. Spaces are filling up fast, so sign up now and make this the best holiday yet. Visit us at www.cycd.org.uk for more info.
ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله.
Ali is one of those children who, with your assistance, has the honour of being a Hafiz. And that too from only £29 per month. Help UKIM by sponsoring a Hafiz and get rewarded by up to 70 times blessings. For donations, call now or visit ukim.org.
Head over to inspirefm.org to check out our new website. Missed a show or want to listen back to an old one? Want to know about upcoming schedules or maybe keep up to date with events going on? Don't worry, it can be found right here on www.inspirefm.org. As well as that, Have a question, query or comment? Find the contact details right here and become part of your community radio station. For the community, by the community.
From the studios of Inspire FM, the time is now 10:30.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Kube with Sister Shemiza.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and assalamu alaikum. It's the 5th of May, 10:30, and you're listening to me, Shemiza, where else? On Inspire FM 105.1 FM. The show you're listening to is the Urban Kube, and thank you for staying with me all the way up to 11 o'clock this morning, where I get to speak to another fantabulous guest. I did say it's a bank holiday bonanza. I don't have one guest, but two guests, and today's guest is another exceptional woman who is really paving her way in making sure that women's voices are being amplified and fostering inclusivity. I am joined by no other than Firoza Abdool-Sathar. She is the director of CYCD, which is a Centre for Youth Community Development, and she's a community leader. Just a little bit more about Firoza. She's an experienced leader providing strategic direction and excellent leadership of children and young people services. She's a motivational speaker and loves to inspire young people and adults and marginalized women. She has been the head of School and Director of Inclusion at Harrow College and Capital City College, respectively, before relocating to Luton and joining CYCD as a director. She's now a voice for the community, leading difficult conversations and being at the heart of meaningful change for our communities. Mashallah. Absolute pleasure having the wonderful Firoza in the studio. You can actually see her live in the studio this morning. If you're on Facebook Live, please leave any comments on there. Inshallah, we'll feed back. Our WhatsApp number is 07779481822. And now what's wonderful having Firoza in the studio today is because a lot of young people are going to be starting their GCSEs this week. My daughter will be starting on Friday. Is there anybody who is starting a little earlier? We, do get into contact with us and sending you lots of du'as, making sure, we wish you all the best in your exams, inshallah. So I think Firoza is perfect today to inspire us all. Assalamu alaikum, sister.
Walaikum salam, and thank you so much for inviting me and having me here.
You're super welcome. I had the absolute pleasure of meeting you in action, and I was totally blown away how inspiring you were as a speaker. Now, you were very motivating, and this was part of the Untold Stories, which was a project that you were doing at CYCD with a number of organizations in the center, mashallah, which was funded by Bed's Community Luton Fund and Safer Streets. And that's where I saw you, and I thought, wow, this lady, there's something about her. So now finding out a little bit more about you, I thought, I've got to have you on my show.
Thank you.
It's
a pleasure to be here.
We've heard a lot about CYCD. So in your words, tell us a little bit about the centre, please.
So CYCD is the Centre for Youth and Community Development. As you know, it's in the heart of Berry Park in Luton. The centre has been going or started off initially as a grassroots organisation from the town centre. It was started by a small group of young Bengali youth, Bengali and Pakistani youth that faced a lot of discrimination around 79, 80s, around the time that a lot of them came into the town. As you know, with the history of Luton as well, they faced a lot of adversity. So they all came together and continued this, eventually kind of opening up the centre that you now see at CYCD in Berry Park as well. Over the years, they faced lots of, different issues as well. Initially, it was very male-dominated, and as the years went by, there were lots of issues. They realized realized a lot of the women, were sat at home, mental health issues as well, and then came about, the women's project around, and that's what was started later on. Eventually, obviously, we've now come, full circle in the fact that CYCD now is an anchor institution in Luton. Obviously, they've had different directors before. They had started with 2 or 3 English, directors at the centre. There was a gentleman, I think, that started off, the collaboration as well. So I'm hoping to take it to the next level. But as a woman, I think I came in with my own issues in terms of obviously what I saw being faced within the Luton community itself. I'm fairly new to Luton, as you know, not very many years here. But what struck me was just the mental well-being. A lot of them, education being at the topmost with a lot of them, and that's my passion itself as well. So therefore, I kind of felt the need to take this to the next level. But at the same time, I'm researching and becoming very shocked at some of the statistics, around or facing a lot of our women itself as well. The project that you spoke about, Untold Stories, was at the back of the riots that took place last year. It was very shocking because it impacted on a lot of us. Families were very scared to come out. Fathers and mums were very scared to let their young girls out as well. There was a youth fest at Wardown Park, and some of our youth, young girls were going to present CYCD there, but they were actually quite scared to the fact that eventually they wanted to cancel and they didn't attend. You can't force them anyway.
Of course.
But that kind of made me think, and as I looked at some of the data, I was shocked by some of the statistics. And I think I mentioned that at our program itself as well. When you look at how inactive a lot of our women are, and I'm talking of some of the older women that came, whether from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, a lot of them still being inactive itself as well, not able to go to a doctor, not able to understand, anything that's going on itself as well. Whereas CYCD itself is that institution where if they come to the organization at any given time, there is somebody there, that can help them to overcome the language barriers, that can hear their voice, that can signpost them itself as well. So that's why it was important for us to showcase. But the event itself was on the back of the riots. We realized that age or those women never had a voice.
And can we be quite specific on the ages that we're talking about here for our listeners who are not familiar with this group of women?
So the Wellbeing Project is mainly for women 50 plus. And those are women that have got health inequalities. So they've got, pre-existing, health conditions itself as well. Many of them, the dynamics in the family are now changing for a lot of them, whereas the kids are now, either moved away or otherwise, they find themselves at, alone at home, unable to make appointments, unable to kind of understand and to care for themselves very well. But that isolation itself is lending itself to, some of the issues that we are seeing. Depression being one of them as well. And so when they come to the wellbeing groups at CYCD, they find friendship, they have a laugh, they come together and they go home, feeling a bit better about themselves.
And I have to say thank you so much for encouraging this, because I've seen it firsthand myself and I've seen the need for this. And I had the absolute pleasure to be surrounded by these amazing women. And I saw them and I viewed them in a different light once I left, because we have our own perceived notions. But, to be amongst these women who have legacies of nurturing, and, just because they're at home does not mean they're not capable.
And what was so inspiring, a lot of it we couldn't really share because of the sensitivities of that.
Of course.
And, we work with AKDC,
indeed,
group as well. And they actually try to encourage people, whether it's, during private sessions itself as well, to come out with those stories as well. And, some of them, it's just simple things like, when do they find peace? If the husband is out of the house, that's when they can find peace. So those are the kind of things that are very, very telling, in many ways as well. But, there are stories to tell there. And just, we don't have to showcase it outside to everybody, but by them sharing it within the group itself, it's confidential, it stays there.
Indeed.
But that's what it is. It's important for them to have that voice.
So if there's anybody listening in that may want to join this group, how do they go about it?
So either come to the centre at CYCD, which is 94 to 106 Lee Grave Road, or otherwise go onto the website, or otherwise you can call in 01582 519 500 at CYCD.
Fantastic. And how often do the sessions run?
So we got them weekly. We have them on Mondays as well as Wednesdays. In addition to all of that, what we actually do is we do the exercises as well.
Yes.
So it's keep fit as well as
which is so important.
Absolutely. But we also invite all the leading organizations within Luton. So, you've got Active Luton, all the other organizations, dementia, NHS, cancer awareness, all of those organizations to come in and to do either a workshop or, check the blood pressure, do all of the other, diabetes awareness as well. So we do a lot of that. And through coming, just to the centre, they can be informed and educated as well at the same time.
And what's important is it's free.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful service.
And there's somebody there to interpret for them.
Oh, fun. Oh, we need to hear that. Tell us more. That's so significant, isn't it?
So at CYCD, we've got many staff that are multilingual, within the centre itself, whether it's Hindi, Urdu, Bengali, those are the predominant languages in the area itself as well. And should anybody come in, if they need advice or if they need guidance as well, there is somebody, that can actually explain to them or otherwise signpost them as well.
So, folks, if you've just tuned in, it's 10:41 and I am joined by no other than the wonderful sister Firoza, who is joining today live on the show this morning and talking to me. She's a director of CYCD, Centre for Youth and Community Development. She's a community leader, and today we're discussing how important it is to amplify women's voices and foster inclusivity. I know inclusivity is something you're very passionate about, and it isn't just CYCD. You have a legacy of making a difference between your, through strategic leadership, through in the education sector. But your journey goes back further. It's out of England. Let's go back a little bit.
So I was born and brought up in South Africa.
Wow.
I lived through the apartheid system in South Africa. And again, as you grow up, you're none the wiser. We were by law, obviously, living in different communities. So we were in an Asian-only community where we went to school in an Asian area with, just within our own color as well. Although, obviously, the only time we mixed when you went shopping, for example. But then going to university, you have an awakening, and suddenly there was a dawning, but also through the very last years of my school, suddenly there was a wave of change in South Africa. There was a lot of boycotts and there was a lot of unrest in South Africa, people wanting a change. And we were part of that youth, that was awakening and that was changing. Subsequently, the following year, I went to university, and it was all those inspiring people, Bishop Tutu, Nadine Gordimer, those were activists in South Africa at that time. And we used to go to all of these rallies itself as well. And it just drew from there. My parents were very scared because, yes, they understood, that I was standing for change, but they also understood how brutal the regime were, in South Africa, people that would, you could be arrested and detained, for long periods, and that's what they were scared of, people were gone missing as well during those periods. So it was a very, very difficult time, but I felt that I needed to get my voice heard. So I feel in some way that I played my part in history itself as well.
Wow.
And that was the start of the Free Mandela campaign, and eventually we all saw those first pictures of Mandela coming out of prison. In South Africa at the time, I don't think a lot of people know, I guess right across the world, people knew what Mandela looked like, but we were growing up in South Africa not knowing what Mandela looked like. So for us, it was a total blackout in South Africa, not knowing who this person was, but we were fighting for this person, to be freed as well.
That is so surreal.
It is. And the shock to see the statesman-like figure coming out, walking down, the road when he was freed. That long road to freedom for him. It was a surreal moment for all of us. But I feel very honored to be part of that.
That legacy.
And feel that I've played my part. And I think that itself and that resilience itself somehow has stayed with me all through my life. And I think that is probably where I get that inner strength from, that resilience. Never say no, don't look down, always kind of look up and inspire. And I think that's where I get that from. That
energy, that effervescence that you have, you articulate it so well. I'm going to ask you a question. You don't look that old to have been part of that road to freedom. Could I ask, how old were you when you did that?
I was 18, 19. So
Mashallah. And thank you for bringing that resilience to us in little old Luton. How did you end up in little old Luton?
Oh, that's another story in itself. I obviously, when I got married, I was in London. I stayed in London all my life. I was in Kingsbury most of the time. Obviously, as you know, with the way prices are increased as well. My daughter actually had to move out of London area, and she relocated. And she bought up in Luton. What happened through COVID was my husband obviously fell ill. And was in a coma for about 3.5 to 4 months. And that was quite a journey in itself. His recovery was quite long. He had everything from a cardiac arrest, had to have a tracheostomy, learn to walk all over again. It was quite a traumatic experience. And that point in time, I just felt I needed to be close to family, more so because when I married and when I came here from South Africa, I don't have any family here, or I never had any family. And I'm fortunate now to have my 3 kids and my daughter being here, and I felt I just needed to be near family. And so that's my story and my relocation. And as you rightly said, initially, I was at Harrow College. I moved on to Capital City College, Director of Inclusion, which was my last role. The commute was just too much. And also being a carer for my husband and just being at the forefront of all of that, I was spending most of my time traveling. And I just had to make that decision to say, look, you know what, I needed a change. This role came up at CYCD. I was recommended for this role. And I looked at it and I thought, well, here again, it allows me, again, to go back into community and to do the type of work that I've always done. And I've always done it in bits and pieces, all through my life. And here's an opportunity to do it on a different scale. And so here I find myself in Luton.
Alhamdulillah. And thank you for taking that step change. What changes are you hoping to bring into CYCD and for the women and the community of Luton?
For me, coming into Luton, there were a couple of things. What struck me as you come into Luton itself, and once you understand the community itself, is the deprivation. Poverty and deprivation, you see it, it's quite stark. And in my role itself, you understand it a little bit more. You understand how the cost of living crisis, we talk about it, but we see it firsthand. During, the riots, we saw the fear, among our community. We've got a preschool as well. You see young mums coming in with very poor housing, not quite aware of where they need to go, what they need to do, even. We also got a discreet service at CYCD where we help women, through violence against women, or any, if there's abuse, or they're fleeing the marital home itself as well. So we've got that service itself as well. And when you see and hear the stories and understand what the need is, we see it firsthand. In Berry Park itself, we've got a very different dynamic changing in the area itself as well. We've got new migrants coming in. You saw at the event that we had the other day, where I was really, really hell-bent on showcasing the young man's journey.
Of course.
The migrant that came there. So we've got a lot of those coming to our center itself as well. And these are what I see, coming through the doors now. And it's an eye-opener, but those are the issues now we need to take forward. As I said, the elderly women, for example, don't have a voice. A lot of them, when we did the focus group, for example, they've got health inequalities, they've got issues, they can't make appointments, they're not digitally, included. They can't use a phone, for example, they can't make appointments as well. So those are the kind of topics and those are the kind of issues we need to take forward. And so there's a lot to do. There's a lot of work to do in terms of trying to get where we are. But again, there's also, apart from health inequalities, racism has raised its ugly head again. Islamophobia, as I said, with the project itself, we wanted to raise that again. And the project gave us that opportunity to be able to raise those issues. If we don't raise those issues, if we don't start to actually have these open and honest conversations, we'll still live in fear over and over again. And for me, so it's kind of, I'm coming back full circle from where I started off in my journey. And so I think I'm much more equipped in a way to kind of help and understand what people are going through as well. So this is why, I feel that there's so much of change that we can do and we can make as well. We want to kind of raise the achievement for these minority women. We probably want to also look at ring fencing, more funding, for these women to address those inequalities that they are facing, exclusion, lack of employment. One of the stark statistics are, there's so many of our women are not in jobs or not even in good quality jobs as well. And if you look at, higher management, it's not many are in higher management. Forget, getting a job. And those are some of the things we want to start to change. We see all over the show, there are employment, but there's employment courses, there's everything, but we want to take that next step. We want to kind of say, these are the women, this is where you are going, that's where you can be, and get them to be inspired and aspire to kind of go on and to make meaningful changes in their lives.
Indeed, and it is about meaningful changes. And I think you have you are going to shake up things for the better, because I think there's a lot of things that you have highlighted which I think are not being spoken about. And I think this is about what it means, the term inclusivity means. We can talk about it, but what are we actually doing? And inshallah, those changes I hope you will bring and we will be able to follow and see in action. Folks, the time is 10:52, 5th of May. I'm joined by no other than the wonderful Firoza, who is a community leader, and she's definitely leading, going the right way with CYCD. How can people get in contact with CYCD? Again, please, sister, do share with us those details.
So basically, we are at 94 to 106 Lee Grave Road in Luton. Please come and visit us. We also, our website is www.cycd.co.uk.
Now, the topic of today's show is amplifying women's voices and fostering inclusivity. So what does that mean for you, Sister Firoza?
So inclusivity, obviously, we hear this time and time again. And I've said this earlier, it's not about getting women on board. It's looking at the ages of the women. It's one thing saying, oh, we need more female voices, and we sing the young people because they've got an advantage. But what about those that are at home, for example? And when, again, as you said, we showcased this at our event the other day, that those women have got voices and they've got such good talent as well.
Indeed.
So those are the kind of marginalized people we want to get their voices told as well. Inclusivity for me is about the person, that's coming to the country, for example. It's about all races as well. For me, it's much, much more important. I want people to understand, we shouldn't be judging people, in terms of who they are, where their background is. And I see this a lot more. I guess it's probably because I come from South Africa. I am Muslim, I am Asian, I am Indian, come from India originally. I've got family in Pakistan as well. But for me, it's about everybody, belonging or having a place in society itself as well. So that's what inclusivity is for me as well. It's about, not only the young person, it's the elderly person. It's not about black and brown. It's about everybody, including everybody, with that all stratas, in terms of where you are in life.
As a activist from South Africa who was part of that journey of the Free Nelson Mandela movement, there are marginalized people in the world. What would you like to say about apartheid in the world right now that we're seeing, in particular regarding Palestine?
I think it's very sad, and I'm very proud, in terms of South Africa standing up,
yes,
and leading the charge. It's very, very sad that people are not raising their voices enough. We want people to raise their voices. We want a joint effort. In terms of that, we want to bring people to the table. I always believe, that by talking, you can get a lot of issues resolved. Take an example from Mandela, in terms of what he has done. He has obviously come out and he's actually used that platform and that voice, and that's what we would like. He said education is the most powerful weapon we have, and we can use it to change the world. And I would like people to be educated and to look at somebody else's point of view as well and understand that.
Indeed. Thank you so very much, Firoza Abdool-Sathar, for joining me today. You're director of CYCD. I'm sure it won't be the only time I get to speak to you. It is the end of the show, and from us, Assalamu alaikum. Stay safe, stay well, and always keep smiling. Take care.
Thank you so much.